שכולוי שבת וציווי זהו ay 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 zeh we ashet again we know you been Israel ay 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 zeh we ashet again we know Agut Voch Raboisai. Lidu Nishmat Simim Rosus Mordechai. Welcome to all the guests. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name?
Stanley Fireman.
Oh, that's right, Stanley Fireman. You're supposed to be on Friday. We got you in today. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name?
Hadar Weiss.
Hadar Weiss. I know you from somewhere.
West Orange.
Shalom Aleichem. And you?
Yechezkel.
I'm not going to be able to reach you, but Yechezkel, Shalom Aleichem. From? Tom's River. Jonathan Levine, Shalom Aleichem. And from? Efrat. What's your name, Rabbi? Repesach? Repesach West. Shalom Aleichem. The should say, Amakim Yerachem Eschem, B'sech Shavei, L'tzim Yerushalayim, to Repesach. He lost his wife. He's the Kamiansky's principal, and he has a lot of other chashuva things. Shkoyach for coming. Who else? He did. So, that's it for the guest tonight. Hope all is well. Shabbos is soon approaching. I'm glad to report another full week on the Daf Wagon. In the previous email, I mentioned how for me, listening to the introductions was a great source of chizuk. I think I could have had much more chizuk today after I got to see my dear friend of Yosef Goldglantz at the shir, along with his father and brother. Yosef is tremendous tzaddik and tam chacham. I wish they would have told me beforehand. Descendant of the Bach. It's really very inspiring to see the two of you together side by side. All the very best. May you continue to attract such great quality talmidim and neighbors. Much tzlach on the campaign. Shabbat shalom. Daniel from Miami. This I'll show tomorrow with a very, very interesting this little video clip, but I don't have the subtitles. We'll show tomorrow. Something very interesting happened on Friday in the shir. Be'ez Hashem, I'll show tomorrow. And finally, a picture of two guys doing the daf. You don't see them. They're doing the daf in China, in the airport. I thought it was cool. They are Mashgichi Kashrus, Ari Cohen, and Chaim Cohen. What else do we have here for the Olam? Nothing much. But I do want to announce one thing. Tomorrow I'm going to announce now we're up to 230 people that took pages. Let me explain what a page is and what's going on there. So we're doing a campaign. You see this all the time. These people, they send you these links. You donate. A page means that a person doesn't take upon himself to give money. What he does is he says, I think I have enough friends that I could raise for MDY, let's say $1,000. So he takes upon himself a page and he sends out to his friends and family, and hopefully he reaches that goal. Again, so people thought, but if I say $1,000, then I have to bring $1,000. No, you don't. You just say, I think I could do this. So, you hear?
Yeah.
Good. So I'm going to announce some names tomorrow, but the one that stuck out the most was Simi Mandelbaum. He took upon himself $20,000. A lot of people, there's like 20 people already 230 people so far signed up that they want to take a page. And there's like maybe 20 people that said the amount already. Simi Mandelbaum was one of them. 20,000, that was the largest amount. There's many for $1,000, a bunch for $2,000, and a bunch for $5,000. I'll announce it tomorrow. Ramosha Hirsch, who does the weekly Merkaz, thank you. He is in charge of the group here in Ramat Bet Shemesh. Be'ez Hashem, we're going to have some sort of get together right here in the Beis Medrash with some sushi stuff. I don't know how it works. And he's asking the Olam to participate. So far, no one showed up yet. Maybe one or two. All right, here you go. We're always the last. I'll be on your team. We'll beat them all. Okay, the Seder. With that being said, we're going to jump into the Daf. I just have to say the sponsors. The Masechta is sponsored by Anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Amen. The Parnas HaChodesh, Nishmat Zechariah ben Moshe, Nishmat Zechariah bas Yosef. Parnas HaChodesh, Ahron Fraiman, it should be a zechus to rebel if it continued siyadta dishmaya and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Parnas hashavua, last day, Yaakov and Malka, Luxenburg, Lili Nishmat, Rochel, Gittle, Bas, Moshe, and Yechezkel ben Avraham, Moshe, the Nishmat should have an aliyah. Parnas hayoim, Ahron and Naomi Mandelbaum. This is a very sad one, Rabbi Yisai. Very sad. I think the island is going to be sad to hear this one. Ahron and Naomi Mandelbaum, parents, Yossi and Carolyn Mandelbaum, brother, and Esti and Yossi Ziffer, sister, and last but hardly least, Michal Mandelbaum Avi's Yechezkel, marking 1 year. I'm not faking this. This is hard for me to say. Marking 1 year since my little brother Avi Mandelbaum was nifter. He was a huge part of this year. Huge. Everybody that was on Zoom saw him every single day for years. He was the loudest guy on Zoom. He was the Batakeya on Elul, and many, many other things. He had the funniest or funkiest backgrounds on his Zoom. What? He was the first one every single day on Zoom. Probably the last one off. No, the last one is somebody else. Me and Gary and I, we went to his house. We did a shir, Motzi Shabbos in his house. Where did he live? Reshet. It was the first off-site shir ever. We sat around the table with 5 people. He wasn't sick then. That was like before anything. Anyway, so the Nishmat should have an aliyah. It's already a year. It's unbelievable. In his zechus, it was the largest undertaking of learning dapim of Gemara for his refuah. 5,192 daf were learned in his zechus in one shot. That's a lot. That's double shas. It's unbelievable. The art of the month, anonymous for the zechus. Oh, in honor of Stanley Fireman, who's attending the shir in person today.
Take a bow.
I don't know who it is. I said it on Friday, but I looked around. It wasn't here. He was on a plane then. Anonymous for the zechus, for easy childbirth for this daughter and healthy baby. That's the art of the month. Rabbi Yisai, we're holding Daf Tes Zayin Amud Beis towards the bottom, like 12 lines from the bottom. Omer Bavo Rabbi Yochanan. You got it? Hamoitzi Shtar Choiv Bashok. If you find, can't go without doing this, Rabbi Yisai. Not too many though. Don't worry about it. Let's see. Oh, I didn't put it. Hold on. Let me get out of here for a second. I apologize. We got to do something called this is shas. It's on a different daf. Okay. Some of them are easy as usual. Some of them are not. Some of them are. My son started coming to the shir Beis Hashem, and it's a big zechus for me because I keep him kayim v'shinatam levanecha live, not on a video. So he's here and he's young. He's 13, so I'm teaching him. So you guys could join in also. Hefker, Bezin Hefker is a concept. Oh, that's actually not one of the things. Sorry. We got Saw B'Saw. Saw B'Saw means that if a person borrows, the Gemara is talking about, let's say, wheat, you borrow a certain measurement of wheat, it's prohibited to return that amount of wheat because the price fluctuates, and then it's ribis. You might give more. Davar shaloi b'la'olam is machlokes. Typically, Remeir paskins that you could sell, or say, let's say, tell a woman, I'll get married to you after you become a gioris. That's davar shaloi. It didn't come to the world yet, whether or not that works. This is a good one to remember because it's I don't know if the word is counterintuitive, but it just seems backwards. But what it means, zechus Ziffer means that when you don't see the achrayus in a document, you don't see the shibud, the lien to real estate. In the document, you should know it's a toa cipher, it's a mistake, and it needs to be there. This is a tricky one, where we learned it many times. This is good chazara. Shtarakna. This I actually asked my son, Yoel, on Shabbos, and he knew it. He knew the answer from being in chair once. Sharakna, so the kid is listening, Baruch Hashem. Shtarakna means that you write a document that says that regardless of whether or not I take out a loan, you could go after my property starting right now. Shtar Mukdam is a shtar we might talk about a little bit today, is a shtar that has the wrong date. It's predated. And when you predate something, then it's very problematic because you could go after the lien. The lien starts when you wrote the shtar, when you dated it, and you only took out a loan later, and that's not fair because the lien should only happen when you took out the loan. People that buy property that has a lien on it, you can take the property away from them because there's a lien. Well, it's not fair. They bought the property before there's actually a loan. Kinunya is something similar within that, is that you make a deal between the Malva and the Loiva, and the Malva pretends that he was never paid back. He goes after a property that there's a lien on, they take away the property, and they split it between the Loiva and the Malva. They make a deal. All right, and that's it for today. And now we're going to get into our sugya. So, if one walks down the street and he finds a document that says so-and-so owes $1 million to somebody else, so now we could look at this for a second. Hempek, these are all nice things to remember. Hempek means that there's a certificate on the shtar. Bezdin certifies the shtar. They say, this is a good shtar. We interviewed the Eidim. Everything is legit. So, it's a legit shtar, so give it back. No. Lo yachzer lebailam. You don't give it back to, who's the bailam in this case? The malva. Certainly when there's no certification, maybe they wrote the shtar, but they never actually, there was never a loan. Even though there was a loan, and we interviewed the Eidim, and it's a legitimate shtar, even though it is mekuyam, it's kayam. How do you say mekuyam in English? It was established. Lo yachzer, you don't give the document back. The chayshinon leperoin, because we're concerned that the loiva might have paid it off. Rav Shalom Shadron says about this Gemara. He says that the famous story with Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva is 120 years old, and the Romans caught him, and they tortured him to death, literally to death. They took these metal combs, and they just scratched the skin. They used the combs on his skin, hot combs. And he said, and his Talmidim said, Rebbe, Admosai, and he said, I was waiting my entire life to say, I said, B'chol levavcha or b'chol nafshecha. We say every day in Kriya Shema at least twice, 3 times. B'chol nafshecha, that afilu noitel nishmascha, you have to give your neshama to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If somebody, for different things, you have to give up your life. He says, I was saying it every day, and I was waiting to be mekayim this pasuk. So says Rav Shalom Shadron, Kol yom ha'isi mistara pasuk zeh b'chol nafshecha afilu masa yadai liyadi v'kaimenu. When will it come to my hand and I'll be able to be mekayim it? So Shalom Shadron explains that I came in on this case is you say Kriya Shema every day. So now finally, when you do give up your life for HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'Torah, so then it comes retroactive that everything that you said, b'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshecha, you were serious, you really meant it. Hashem, I'll give up my life. And then the guy comes with the gun and says, okay, do have a desire, and then you bow. Okay, so all the b'chol nafshecha that you said your whole life was a lie. Here, Rabbi Akiva was mekayim. So it's a lashon of kiyum, like a kiyum of a shtar. You're mekayim the shtar. You're saying, I am certifying the shtar today. That means the shtar that was written yesterday is a good shtar. And at the end of the story, he said the word echad very long. The yatsa nishmasei be'echad. His neshama left as he was saying Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Says the Gemara. Eisvei Rabbi Yirmiyah Rababo. Kol ma'aseh bezdin harei yachzer. It says that when you find a document that comes from a bezdin, you give it back. So how come over here you're telling me lo yachzer, you shouldn't give it back to the owner? We're concerned that maybe it was paid off. Amalei Yirmiyah Beri. Says Rashi, he wasn't a son, but he called it's a language of endearment of you're my son. In Hebrew they say achi. It's beri, my son. I guess when you're a Rebbe in the Talmud, beri. Lo yikol ma'aseh bezdin shavim. It's not true. Not every single document that you find you give back. When the loiv is a liar, then you can give it back. It depends. Well, just because the loiva was once found to be a liar, so that means he's never going to return money. So we had these, I don't expect anybody to remember, Basically, a drachta means that Bezdin are saying, we looked into this, and you could go ahead and claim property. Chaltas is a lashon of hachlata, that after he already took the property, they're saying this is what happened. This is the story. But these are not documents that you could go and grab property with. Although a drachta seems like you could, so that's why some are not really sure that the word adrachta belongs here. Chaltas of adrachta, uked Reb Zeir, like we explained yesterday, that chaltas of adrachta are not documents that you go ahead and you are goiva with. You don't take somebody's property with those documents. The kafron. This is where I get it from. Sometimes there's a word in the Gemara and I go off on a tangent on a story. So the Gemara says, oh, it says the word kafron. The guy was a liar. Oh, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. So here's a question. I wasn't sure myself, and then I asked the Olam, and they also weren't so sure. Let me see what you guys say. If the Bezdin says the word, go out and pay, or they say you are chayiv to pay, which one is a stronger lashon? Which one would you say that Bezdin are serious about, or which one is they're not so serious? Again, go out and pay. You are chayiv to pay. Which one? Anybody? Chayiv. Anybody say the other one? Say no. You and YY, you're disqualified.
I say the first one.
You'll say the opposite. Great. So we're going to see over here that chayav is not so serious. Say me is serious. Okay. Say tenloi means there's a psak bezdin. Bezdin already said you're chayiv to pay. Now it's talking about that there's no shtar over here. Because if there's shtar, then forget about it. But there's no shtar. And Bezdin says, we established you have to pay. Daf Yomi Amud Aleph Omar Parati. And he says, wait a minute, I paid already. Neman. He's believed. Rashi says right away, but he's chayiv. I'm going to say this word and you think what it means right away. He's chayiv a shvuas heses. What does heses mean? A shvuah d'Rabbanan. Yeah, it's one of the Mesogei Shas. Heses. You're right. The Koiper HaKol, the Torah says you don't have to pay if you deny everything, but you're chayiv a shvuah heses. Nevertheless, you make a shvuah. If the Malva says, let's write up a document in a drachta or something, you don't do it. Why? We believe him that he paid off. However, if the Bezdin says, you must give the money, you chayav, they're not serious. What they mean to say is, we think you have to give. Let us think about it a little bit more. I heard a story here in Ramat Beit Shemesh. There's a couple going to court for 3 years. A couple. One of them wanted a get. The other one wanted therapy. So he went to court for 3 years. After 3 years, I'm not making this up. After 3 years, the Bezdin came over with a psak. Both of you are not acting correctly. We're not giving you a psak. That was after 3 years. So it seems like you should go to therapy. We have to think about it a little bit more. Come back in 3 years. You have to pay. V'omar parati, and on that the loiva says, I paid it back in an emon. Why? Think about it. Logic. If the Bezdin didn't say straight out, they're not 100% sure, so why in the world would the loiva go ahead and pay? You're suing this guy in court, and all of a sudden he's going to pay without any kind of psak? Any emen, so he's not believed. But Malva lichtayv, if the Malva wants to write up a drachta, a document to say that Bezdin said that he's chayav, kais v'noisim loy, then you could, because we don't believe the loiva. Whether you say it in the lashon of go out and pay, or whether you say you're chayav to pay, v'omar parati, and he says parati neman. Why? Basically, like the confusion that we had over here. All of us thought, including myself, when I read it first time, like chayiv should mean you chayiv. I didn't know that Rashi says chayiv means, Bezdin has to think about it for a day and come back. So regular people on the street don't know either. So when they hear the lashon of say, the loiva hears say, chayiv, he doesn't know. So to him it's all the same, and therefore he denies it. He says, Parati. She's believed. But there is a way, you could make a distinction here between tzei and chayiv. That what? If they told him go ahead and pay, which they meant they were serious, and he says I paid it off. Oh, he's caught red-handed. He lies in front of Bezin. He's a mechutzav. He tells Bezin, I paid it, and two Eidim show up and say, no, you didn't. What is that called? Huchza kafron. Oh, you remember? We said the word kafron, and the Gemara says, oh, I want to tell you a story about kafron. I want to tell you something about, here it is. That what? That this guy is an established liar. Since he went in front of Bezin, and he said, Bezin say, pay. And then he said, I paid already. So he's a liar. And two Eidim come in. Now he's an established liar. He's a kafron. Who's a kafron? So you no longer could say afterwards, oh, I paid it. Too late. You already were caught red-handed. However, different halacha, also brought down in Shulchan Aruch. They didn't say the lashon say. They said parati, and on that he says, no, I paid. And they them said that no, you're a liar. And then he comes back and he says for a second time, I paid, even though he's caught once before. You hear the chiddush over here? Adam caught him red-handed. He's not a liar. Why? My taima ishtamute who come ishtamet minei savar ademainu beirabbanan bedinei. He understands that Bezdin might come back in 3 years from now. He realizes how hard it is to get an appointment with the Bezdin. It took the first time took months. The second time they come back, and finally now they're saying you chayiv, but you got to come back. We got to think about it again. No, think about it. Could be a long time. Why should I pay today? So what do? I say I paid it already. Get off my back. Now I have vacation until Bezdin really comes back with a true psak. So he's not a liar. If we could understand why he lied, so he's not a liar. If he straight out lies, that's a lie. But if he's just trying to buy time, then he's not a real liar, he's not a kafron, and then we'll trust him when he really says parati. Omer Rabbi Barbachana, Omer Rabbi Yochanan. Just thinking, I think it was him. Yeah. On the bottom of Yechezkel Beis is also Omer Rabbi Barbachana. They brought a get, but Rashi says he's just a shliach. Okay. Says Rabbi Chanan, the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Monoli biyadcha. Yomi 100. And he lies. He says, no, I don't owe you a dime. And the Eidim say you're a liar. And then he says, oh, you know what? No. First he says, I don't know who you are. And then when the Eidim say, what do you mean you don't know who you are? We saw you borrow. Oh, yeah, I paid back. He's not believed to say now parati. You're only saying that parati because you were caught. Initially he said you don't know this guy, so you're not believed. Says the Gemara, which reminds me that you also heard the shir on Friday. I saw you on Zoom then when we were saying Shapsai. Shapsai, Berei the Rebbe Marinos. He was the son of a big Talmud Chacham, the Talmud of Rebbe Kiva. Kasav la lekalse itztala de milesa biksubasa. He was the guarantor on his daughter-in-law's cloak, some chashava beged that she brought into the marriage, and she was worried that her chassan is not going to pay for it or whatever if they get divorced. So the father-in-law, Shapsai, said, don't worry about it, it's on me. Now, Irkas Ksubasa, they get divorced, and now they're looking for the Ksuba. She has no proof that the father-in-law signed on this beged. So they come to the father-in-law, pay off this beautiful garment. I don't recognize you. I don't know what you're talking about. I never signed anything. Also, Sahad Amri in Kozavla, I forgot to look it up, but I remember that is brought down. His name is brought down somewhere else, and I thought that he was a Talmud Chacham, but from over here, it's mashma. He's not such a Talmud Chacham. He wasn't such a great guy because he lied. I have to look it up again. I looked it up like 2 days ago. It seemed to me like he was saying a Dvar Torah, like he's talking and learning in that Gemara. Okay. Also, Sa'adiv Amri in Kosavla. No, he's lying. There's Aiden that say we remember he promised her. Oh no, yeah, you caught me. I gave it to her. Also, come in there, So the same halacha like we said before, it's still, you're a liar. Now you're not trusting when it comes to that garment. You have to pay her the garment. Another halacha similar to this. You owe a shvuah to your friend. What's a typical shvuah that you owe? Let's say you might have been mixed up. Your friend says you owe me 100 and you admit to 50, you owe a shvuah. And he says, I swear, and they testify. So he's mechuyev to make a shvuah. He's not believed. We're not just talking about a shvuah. Sometimes, even in our vernacular, sometimes somebody says, hey, you owe me $100. He says, I swear to you, I don't owe you $100. Well, you willing to swear? Yeah, I'm willing to swear. Okay, shkoyach. That's just between me and you. It's not the Bezdin forced me to make a shvuah. No, we're talking about Bezdin. But if he says to himself, I'll swear to you, then when he's believed, why? It's normal for people to throw words around and say, I'll swear to you, and they don't really mean it. But when Bezdin is mechayev you, then that's it. You can't lie about it. If you lie, then you're hosek kafron. You must make another shvuah. So they went back to Rebbe Oven to say, hey, you see there's an afkamina, whether it's your own shvuah or Bezdin made you make a shvuah. I also was talking about this shvuah from Bezdin. Same thing. A person had to make a shvuah in Bezdin. It says over here, it doesn't say shvuah stop, like Rebbe Oven said. It says Mefurish in Bezdin. And he said, I swore, and this witnesses that say it's not true. So you're a liar, you have to make another shvuah. It's kedai to remember these things. What does hempik mean? Certified. Here we go. Hempik, certified. Adrachta, chaltasa. You can pretend you're big Talmud Chacham. Ask people, you don't do the daf. What does chaltasa mean? What does adrachta mean? You don't know. Okay, great. I had a guest for Shabbos, so I was messing with him the whole Shabbos. Now I'm like, because my guest is, he just switched his locks. He's a big Talmud Chacham, but he learns very slow. He's in one of these classes, learns very slow. So the whole Shabbos I had what happens when you punch somebody in the face? You're chayiv malchus, you're not chayiv malchus. Wrong. What does that drachta mean? What is him? The whole shot from beginning to end. Okay, I'll do the daf. Fine, I'll do the daf. No, that's not what he said, but he was thinking that. Maybe. Not over his dead body, he said. Because of a hempik. A guy finds a star and it's certified. Because of izmanu by bayayim. So this is this. We start off the sugi like that. Today's shir start off with this case. But this is interesting. It says in the star today. Today is different. Why is today different? Again, you find the star. It says Motzei Shabbos Parshas V'Yakel. What do you do? I mean Pekudei. Oh, good thing I said Be'emes. I didn't think about this. Rabbi Isai, if I forget, somebody remind me tomorrow. We just made a siyum on Sefer Shmois. It's a huge thing. A lot of people from the shir are doing Shnai Mikra V'Echad Dargum. And if not, it's a great time to start. It's a big thing. People that do Daf Yomi, it goes hand in hand. Many, many people came over and said they wanted to do it. They tried to do it. There was a chassid here that told me he did it every single week of his life, but never ever finished the whole sefer. This is the first time he finished the entire thing from beginning to end. So it's a good thing. It goes hand in hand. We're learning how to be consistent on a daily basis, and Shnai Mikra works to be consistent. You do one aliyah a day. That's it. 8 minutes a day, and if you read slow, 10 minutes a day. Not a big deal, and that's it. It's kedai. So mazel tov to all those who were Messiah Sefer Shmois, and we're starting Vayikra. You can start even tonight. 2M1T. Huh? 2M1MT. 2M Shnai Mikra 1T Targum dot 8minutedaf.com or something. Okay. You're not setting up. We're not. It doesn't. Yeah. There's nothing to go on there for. You're not getting a free chumash anymore. You're not going to hear any shiurim. 8minutedaf. Oh, Rabbi Asir, I want to start Chabashuk because of hempik. Because of his man by bayayim. Look at the ceiling, you'll know what it is. There's some people that come to the shir to listen, and there's some people that come to the shir to see how much time is left to the shir. And they let you know every shir how much time is left. V'chulu, v'chulu. And those same people, they used to give the shir instead of me. So they're waiting. What? What are you whispering over there?
Something about Volcara correcting and stuff.
All right, yeah, we got to finish up in 7 minutes. Not a big deal. Look at Amud Beis, short. So here there's a crazy story. You find the star with everything. It says Eidim, the whole thing, and it's today. In this case, then you can give it back. Why? Think about it. If they never use the star, it's not true. It's certified, so somebody used the star. And if you're concerned that the loiva paid it back, the loan was on Motzei Shabbos, and he paid it back on Motzei Shabbos. That never happened. That day, somebody took out a loan and paid it back right away. Unless he's a con artist and he wants to take out another loan tomorrow, like 5 times the amount. But most con artists are much smarter. They don't pay back that day. They wait until like almost when it's the time to give it out, and then give it 1 day earlier, not an hour later. So this is the famous Geschmackes story. A guy bought a Rolls Royce for like $300,000, and he goes to a dealership, and he walks in there and he says, "I want to sell you the Rolls Royce for $100,000. Here, look, I bought it today. Here's my receipt, $300,000. They look at it, they see it's today. It's $100,000. It's $100,000. Why? I can't say. Can't say. Kids said they call up they didn't know what to do, so they call the cops. Cops come down, and they start asking, "Why do you want to sell it for so cheap?" They were very suspicious. I'm not saying. I have a right not to tell you. I want to sell, but I need the cash right now. So the banks weren't open, the whole thing. So they take this guy and they put him in jail. It was an extended weekend, holiday weekend, this, that. He comes, the guy, after 3 days, they couldn't figure it out, so they let him go. So he sued the cops, he sued the police station or the police for $2 million, and he won. Because they put him in jail. That was his whole plan. He just wanted to he wanted them to put him in the jail for a few days, and he took out, that's the Maisa Shekamataya, I don't know, I read it somewhere, I don't know if it's true. Huh? It's a Maisa Shekamataya. Oh, so it's not a true story. I'm just kidding. Okay. Maisa Shekamataya. It sounds good. It happened in America. It didn't happen, because over here you could sue whatever you want, they're not going to give you anything. Fine. Says the Gemara. The Priya Bas Yoima that somebody paid off in 1 day, we're not choishes. Some of the Rebbe Asi. The Rebbe Yochanan really say this. You said in his name, the Rebbe Yochanan. A star that you borrowed money and you paid, you cannot go and use that same star, as the Gemara is going to explain. You want to be cheap. You don't want to, go find a cipher. It's very difficult to find cipher. In your city, you don't even have a cipher. You finally have a star. You go to the same person every month, you borrow $1,000, you return, and then you go again. So it says the wrong date. No. The problem is you can't use it. Why? Because every star has a lien in it. Once you pay it off, the lien is gone. You can't use that star again. There's no more lien. Says Gemara, but let's understand what's going on there. When did this happen? It happened, he found it the next day, or 2 days later. Chara means like Achrov, says Rashi. So as we know, there's something called a shtar mugdam. It has the wrong date. What is a shtar mugdam? So we have, let's say the shtar was written in Tammuz. So it says in the shtar that there's a lien on the property, but there's actually no lien because the loan happened way later, 6 months later. So you go ahead and you sell, the loiva, the borrower sells property, but it still says in the shtar that there's a lien on the property, so somebody could go ahead and take the property away. And then later on, you get a loan 6 months later, and the truth is the property has no connection to the loan because the property was sold prior to the loan. That's not good. That's called a shtar mukdam. It's a shtar with the wrong date. Udnan, shtar chayv mukdam, psulim, it's possible, you can't even use it. So it can't be that we're talking about a shtar mukdam. The only possibility in Rabbi Yochanan is somebody lost a shtar, he wrote a shtar, and on that day he wants to use it again. He didn't lose it. He wrote a shtar, borrowed $1,000, returned the $1,000, then goes back to the same guy and says, "Can I borrow $1,000? Hey, by the way, can I borrow $1,000? Why did you pay it back? Because I had a concussion. I don't know why. I used it, I gave it back, now I want to use it again. On that, Rabbi Yochanan says, don't use it. Oh, you see, there are people that pay back that same day. Did I say an absolute rule that it never ever happened? Of course, there's a meshugana here and there that pays back the same day. I said, we don't have to be concerned for something like that. But of course, once in a while it happens. Rav Kahana Omar, yeah, a guy borrows money, then he realizes he has the money, doesn't need it. Why should he bother him? Then he realized, whoa, the money I thought I do have, it's my wife's. So, okay, fine. Rav Kahana Omar, this that Rabbi Yochanan said that if you find the shtar with the same, on the day, this halacha, you find the shtar and it says today's date, you could give it back. It says Rav Kahana Pshat, Rav Kahana Omar, why can I give it back? Because the person admits, the loiva says. Okay, so then what's the chiddush? The loiva says it's true. I borrowed the money today. Oh, Mao the same for Pare. He did give it back. Why does he say I did it? So perhaps he paid it back, but maybe he's just being stingy. If that's the case, the loiva is, who pays for the shtar? The loiva pays for the shtar. Maybe he's trying to be cheap and he wants to use the shtar again. But the malva would never allow that. Why? The Rabbanon will hear about it and they'll say the shtar is not good and then I lose my whole lien. The malva wants a guarantee for his money. The malva will never allow it. If the malva will never allow it, so how come we have this story that we spoke about 20 times already in the last week that was written in Tammuz and the loan was in Tishrei? The malva won't allow it. Our mission, Daf Yomi, you found the loan document and it has a lien in it. You shouldn't give it back. And we established that the loiva admits that he owes the money. Because of this exact case. He wrote it in Nisan. Oh, why did I write Tammuz? Nisan? Yeah, Nisan, okay, fine. Nisan v'leilov at Tishrei. Because now he's going to take the karka. How come over here we don't say, the malva is not going to allow? Don't worry, if it was written 6 months earlier, the malva would never let you use it. So the answer is very simple. Amri. When, in this case, when there's a 6-month difference, then the malva gains. Why? Because he could grab real estate that he doesn't really deserve. He could give a loan, and all real estate that was sold within the last 6 months, he could go ahead and grab. This is great for him. Why should he tell anybody? For 6 months. He doesn't say anything. Over here, he has nothing to gain. It's the same day. The shtar was today. The soif shtar idnuksiv. What does he have to gain? Why would he allow an old shtar when he could demand a new shtar? There was no real estate sold today. And even if it was, it's already too late. The shtar was today. So, of course the malva is going to say, no, I'll give you a mashal. Like, in my yeshiva, the Rebbe used to say, if you're faking Shemona Esrei, when I was a kid, the 13, 14-year-olds, they go like this, they stab in like 25-minute Shemona Esreis, and you see them looking around to see if anybody's looking at them. That guy finished. Okay, now that. So the Rebbe would say, if you're already faking and you're counting to 5,000, you might as well say Shemona Esrei. So, if you already have a shtar, get another shtar. You have nothing to gain. If it's a 6-month difference, great. So then you could sell. You could grab properties that are not yours. If the malva is a liar, he could grab properties. But over here, what properties is he going to grab? It's today. So, any shtar that has no real estate attached to it is worthless. Another halacha, we got to remember this halacha, because this sugi is going to go into tomorrow as well. Says Rabbi Yochanan, if a person claims about a shtar in bezdin, like a ksuba, our sugi is talking about a ksuba. It could be the mazonis of a woman, and alimony and child support, all this stuff. And he says, I already paid it off. Nothing. We don't trust him at all. Daf Amud Beis. Sponsored by Kinnovations. I'll see my uncle Rabbi Ahron Fraiman as a zechus for Simcha ben Fega. Ner Tamid of Baltimore, Maryland, another official in Simcha Gross. Thanks to them, 137 people learned 16,166 dapim, over 700,000 minutes, and were Messiah, Babakam with MDY. These few people, I don't know how many people it is, I have to count, maybe 20, 30 people, collectively, they set a goal to raise over $150,000. So if we extrapolate that to 230 people, we could raise some nice money, and I'm telling you right now that it's going to help every single person in the Shir Bezer Hashem. It's going to help bring more people to Torah. That's it. Most of us do this voluntarily. Nobody's making salaries here. Some are, only 12 people, but a lot are not. Shapsi's not making a salary. And he spends, how much time do you spend this year? A lot. No? An hour a day? At least. No, Bahamas. There's a lot of people like that running around. Even Gershon is basically voluntarily. Okay, so, and he has 7 other jobs. Zog the Gemara. My timer. So if a woman comes to Bezdin, she says, listen, my husband owes me a ksuba. She doesn't have the ksuba with her. And the husband says, I paid it off. We don't trust him. My timer. Call Maisa Bezdin command dami. When there's a chiyuv from Bezdin to pay something, it's as if she is holding onto a ksuba. So how can you say it's paid? She's holding onto a document. If you paid, you should have proof that you paid it. Says Reb Chia to Rabbi Yochanan, why are you telling me a massive chiddush? Here, what's the chiddush? Anytime somebody comes forward and claims a claim that Bezin are mechayev, like if you marry a woman, you must give her a ksuba. If she's a psula, you have to give 200. If she's not, it's 100. But that's already a chiyuv. If she comes forward and says, hey, I just got divorced, I want my 200, there's no way you could say, says Rabbi Yochanan, he says halacha. Says Rabbi Yochanan, a chiddush that nobody knew. You cannot say you paid it. Why? Because it's a ma'aseh bezin, it's a tnai bezin, that's it. Let me ask you a question. Isn't it a mefurish Mishnah? Why does Rabbi Yochanan have to say it? What's a mefurish Mishnah? If a woman produces a get, but she doesn't have a ksuba, goiv ksubasa. She gets a ksuba without showing a ksuba. So why do you, Rabbi Yochanan, have to give us a whole chiddush? Chiddush. It's a Mishnah in ksubas. That you get a ksuba even without a ksuba. Listen to this, Rabbi. This is unbelievable. If not for the fact that I lifted up this piece of rock here, you wouldn't have found the pearl underneath it. I exposed the pearl, so you found it. L'mashal, it happens to me a lot, and I heard afterwards that it happens to a lot of people. You hear about this new car, yeah? You read about, I don't know, Tesla Y. Why Tesla? Okay? You didn't know about it before. As soon as you get on the road, all of a sudden you start seeing, poof, this guy has one, right? When you buy a car, all of a sudden you notice that, hey, there's a lot of people in the same car as me. So it says, Rabbi Yochanan tells him, yeah, it's in the Mishnah. But you didn't notice it in the Mishnah. It doesn't say mefurish in the Mishnah. Now that I brought it out to light, I said a chiddush, that what? That if you claim that you paid off a ksuba, we don't believe you. So now you can see it in the Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah, if she produces a get and she doesn't have a ksuba, she can get a ksuba. It doesn't say mefurish that he denies it, not deny. Okay, you didn't see it. Taisus says the pshat is this. He says, how many times have you ever went in on a sidewalk and kicked over a piece of a rock or something, and underneath the rock you found a jewel, a pearl? And that never happens. So, the Gemara means to say is in the ocean. You go in the ocean, over there you have nice rocks, and you pick up the rock and you find the jewel. Okay. So, at the end of the day, when we focus on what there is in our life, we could find pearls. In other words, tell you a Maisa, this was Shabbos. There was a Maisa Shaya. A woman threw out, I told this to my son. I hated the story. You guys are going to appreciate it. The teenagers are not. There's a woman who was a widow and she was struggling with her children. One of her children was a big troublemaker. He was like 18 years old, 19 years old. Caused a lot of trouble. She decided without consulting the professionals and the rabbanim, she kicked him out of the house. So he was very upset. And he's like basically homeless, sleeping on a park bench. And this guy walks over and says, "What are you doing here on the park bench?" He says, "I got kicked out of my house." Says, "That's terrible." He says, "Come," schmoozes with him, this, that, takes care of him. This guy, he sleeps in his house for a few weeks, he's getting food. The kid tells him, "Listen, I don't want to be here in Israel. I want to go to America." "Sure, yeah." So it's fine. He says, "You know what? I got some money to put together. Here's a ticket, go to America." So he goes to America, and he's looking for suitcases, and all of a sudden, boom, the guy happened to be there and says, "What are you doing here?" He says, "Looking for something." He says, "Oh, you know, you look like the perfect guy to come work in my company." So he gives him a great job. Guy's young kid, he's rolling dough in New York. Man, he's all excited. And he's schmoozing with this guy in Eretz Yisrael. He's still kept up. So the guy in Eretz Yisrael says, "Why don't you contact your mother? You know, it's about time you schmooze with her." He says, "Nah, my mother, she threw me." No. So he calls up his mother and he says, "Ma, I'm so upset at you. You hate me, you don't care about me." She says, let me tell you something. You're sitting on the park bench, yeah. I hired a guy to go to the park bench and schmooze with you and take you into his house. And then you wanted to go to America, right? Yeah. I paid for your tickets. What's the name of your boss? He says Friedman. No. Your boss, the guy that owns the whole company. He says Savitsky, whatever. No, what's my maiden name? It's my uncle. He owns the company. He gave you a job. What do you think? This time a guy walked over to you while you're looking for your suitcase. I sent him there. What do you mean I don't care about? Of course I care about you. I set you up this whole thing. So many times we don't see the small things. We don't see the things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is throwing our way. The Chofetz Chaim says that every business deal that we do, there's tremendous hashgacha pratis. How you bumped into that person, how you found this, how you heard about it. The whole thing, just we don't open up our eyes. If we look, we see this thing. One last thing I want to tell you that's somewhat connected to this. It's a beautiful thing. The Beis Yisrael told somebody, because now we're talking about Reb Tzika Shalevsky, and he had his kid when he's 88 years old, and a lot of people are upset at him, and a lot of people say he's right and wrong, whatever. Everybody has their daya. But it brought to mind this one thing, that somebody came to the Beis Yisrael and said, "Rebbe, I have major problems. I have 5 children. I'm married. I don't have parnas. I can't support them. Do something for me." So Beis Yisrael got out of his chair and banged on the table. He said, "You realize you have 5 children. You have a wife. How many people are not married, have such tzaras and shidduchim? How many people don't have children for 20, 30 years? Tzika Shalevsky, 88 years old. Again, I'm not going into the whole, but imagine a tsar for 88 years, not having a kid. That's your problem. Don't worry about your parnasa." And I was thinking, like, how many people knock on his door, on the Beis Yisrael's door, and say, "Listen, Rebbe, my kids don't have shidduchim. Rebbe, I don't have children." He hears it over and over, and all of a sudden this guy comes in, "I have 5 kids and I have a wife, and I don't get out of here. That's a tzara. Next." Anyways, fine. I'm not putting down the tzara. What? Yeah? Himself. Oh, that's why. He himself lost his family that was him. I thought that was, and also the Tzanzi Rebbe and kids. Okay. Okay. Let's finish up here. The Olam is almost waiting here by the door. Omar Abaya. We have to remember this Shakal Bataria because that's how the sugya starts tomorrow. Omar Abaya, my Marganisa. What exactly did you see in this Mishnah over here? Dilma, b'makom shein kaising ksuba askina. Maybe that whole Mishnah in Ksubas that says that you have to give her ksuba without her producing ksuba is not Rabbi Yochanan's din at all. Dilma b'makom shein kaising ksuba askina. It's a place where you don't write a ksuba. The get had a ksubasa. So if you don't write a ksuba, there's our places like we learn ksubas, they don't write a ksuba. So how does she prove that she deserves a ksuba? She has a get. And then when he pays the ksuba, he rips it up. And he writes in the back, you could still get married because this is the get, etc. In a place that you do write a ksuba, in a kid ksuba gavi, loy gavi. So you can't prove from that Mishnah anything. He got you good. Rabbi Yochanan kind of like, he's saying, Rabbi Yochanan, you fell for it. Oh, it's a Mefurish Mishnah. No, it's not a Mefurish Mishnah. It doesn't say anywhere in the Mishnah that it's a place that writes a ksuba. No, Rabbi Yochanan didn't fall for anything. I made a mistake. Because if we're talking about dafka in a place where there's no ksuba, if it's in a place that you have to write a ksuba, but if you don't write a ksuba, in a place that you don't write a ksuba, in a place that you write a ksuba, if you bring the ksuba, great. If you don't bring nothing, then he asks, so just to remind the Olam, when it comes to marriage, in the time of the Gemara, there's two stages. Stage one is Erusin, and that goes with a ring. He gives her a ring, now she becomes the Eshes Ish. But they don't live together. They're separated usually about a year. Then finally, stage two is when they have a chuppah. Today we do stage 1 and 2 together. There's a ring and a chuppah, the whole thing. So, the halacha is, even if you do stage 1, then you have to give her a ksuba. But you don't write the ksuba. You have to give her 200. If the guy dies, let's say, or divorced, you give her a ksuba. Now, ask the Gemara, did I skip anything? If she was widowed, as she's a kala, she didn't have nisuin yet, she only stage 1, how does she collect the ksuba? What? She's going to produce witnesses that her husband died, that her chassan died. So her family could say they already paid it back. And if you can say, okay, they could claim that. Why did they even establish a rule? They have to pay ksuba. Every guy can say, oh, I paid her. So this step is, we have to put it down. Well, tomorrow I'll have it in writing. Now what? For this year, hopefully, maybe I'll do it real quickly before this year. That what? I don't have it yet. I wanted to do it. I ran out of time. It's not enough time. Next week is a problem. It's Purim, so we have to think about that also. But 12 o'clock to share in English, 1 o'clock in the morning share in Hebrew, something like that. This Megillah, I don't know. Somebody has to appear something. So, and we have the slowest Balkar in the world. Just kidding. He's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Maybe we should do Megillah here without Hammons. Get another fun. Okay. So, anyways. Let's go. We got to go. So, he's saying, I'll prove to you that even when you don't write a ksuba, like in the case of Arusa, you don't write a ksuba, obviously she gets paid. No, but the Gemara says, how do you know Arusa gets a ksuba? If we can't prove that, then we have no way to knock off his raya. Eli understand. How do you even know that? You made a hanacha and you ask a kasha. You established the rule, and then from that rule you prove something. But how do you know it's a true rule? How do you know that a widow from just Erusin, stage 1, gets a ksuba? Because it says mefurish, if she was widowed or divorced, bein min Erusin, bein min nisuin, and it says mefurish, bein min Erusin, even from step 1, goyves hakol. She gets her entire ksuba, but over here hakol, put in your pencil. Hakol means even additional money, like we said by the Sfardim. Today they do 200 zuz plus $50,000. It's standard practice that Sfardim give crazy money in addition in the ksuba. That's called Tosefes ksuba. But maybe that's only because he wrote him a furish in the ksuba. But we're talking about a case where it wasn't written. So if it was written, so what's the chiddush that if she became a widow from her chassan that she gets the money? It was written in the ksuba. No. Because think about it. Which guy is going to give his kala $200,000 additional money and they weren't even married for a day? They're just engaged. So maybe I'll think that in that case he doesn't have to pay. Only because he thought that he's eventually going to be married there. It's Rochel that no, he does have to pay. And I'll prove it to you because it says she collects everything. What does everything mean? If he wrote it in the shtar and the kotani goyves hakol, she collects everything. It was just, I promise you, I'll give you $200,000. Thank you very much. They say promises are nothing. If it's not in writing, you don't pay anything. My goyves hakol, with this law. But the only thing he has to pay is 100 or 200. Rabbi Sai, have a good Voch. We'll see you tomorrow at 7:15. Be'ezer Hashem. Shavua Tov.